can't separate Sharia from Islam. They are one and one. So any Muslim who tells you that he doesn't want to live his life according to Sharia, then he's not a Muslim.
Do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation?
That is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country.
So as a leader, governor, chairman, president, you are expected to run your affairs with the dictates of Sharia. So as a leader, governor, chairman, president, you are expected to run your affairs with the dictates of Sharia.
Now, let me just rush through this and just to get you aware of what is going on. This is not just the first time this circulation has been on the social media or before the public domain. Now, this is an excerpt of Fulani war threats. You know, it has not started today and possibly might not end today because these people has intention to overrun the country. So it is no longer a subject of a secret. It's an open secret that is going on, that has been running through these decades. And eventually it is materializing, taking unusual dimension in most recent years. And sadly, some southern politicians and people are still living in that denial, in fact, defending the criminality of what is going on. Very unfortunate. Now, let's see. The battle is getting closer. We call on all true Muslims. This is the time to act. This is the time of Second Holy War. We started in 1804. Do you get it? According to, we started in 1804. Just as I've said, it's rather unfortunate that some Easterners and Nigerian people are not conversant, are not in terms with the realities of what is going on. But to their own chagrin, they may be caught unawares. He said, the British stopped us. We must regain the territory lost. They are considering the Nigeria as the territory of the Usman Danfodio Empire. Wow, that is quite interesting. It is against Islam to rotate power with infidels. Do you get that? It is against Muslim to rotate power with the people they call the infidels, which the entire Southerners have been described as infidels. To them, forget about election. That will only lead to sharing of power. Think of the kingdom that we shall rule forever. We can change the majority. Okay, the naughty history, Usman Danfodio did it successfully. We can do it too. Referring to Usman Danfodio mission and the rest of them. We must take the enemies in the West, Central, and the North by surprise. And that is exactly what is going on. You will see more details. That is, of course, the plot. We must take the enemies wherever they are. Once you are not part of them, you don't represent their interests, you are declared an enemy, including even the Hausas are enemies today. But the Hausas, it took them decades to realize that they have been totally subdued. Unfortunately, they are now realizing it too late. But whatever be the case, let's go on with this. He said, our attacks on the infidels must be total and overwhelming. Our attacks on the infidels must be total and overwhelming. We must begin by instilling fear in them, weaken their resolve through kidnap, brutal rapes, making it difficult for them to farm and subdue them before the war. This is exactly what is going on. You might be wondering, why are they taking people down in different farms, in their farms, in their place of, I mean, farming and the rest of them? Kidnapping, paying, taking, adopting them for ransom. Some, after payment of ransom, they are still being killed, and it's rather unfortunate. These are the strategies to weaken the people and to instill fear in them. Have they succeeded in that? Of course, yes. They have succeeded widely, to greater extent as far as this mission is concerned. They have succeeded to a greater extent. The people are realizing it too late. Possibly much damage has been done. You can imagine the number of people that have been kidnapped, and the government is silent or indifferent about what is going on. And these people has been rooted in this criminality. They have established several cells across the forest beds of the southern region. In fact, have rounded up the entire Yoruba southwestern region down to south-south, and the ripple effect of what is going on now. What the people are just doing is being reactionary. Why? They have already taken over, circumvented the entire region of the south and about to hit. They started from the north central down to the west. Having subdued the north central and the rest of them, look at what is happening. Several communities have been lost and forcefully reoccupied. So these are part of their missions and intentions. Unfortunately or sadly, some persons are now calling for the arrest of Asabuja for defending his rights to live and that of his people. You can imagine some, even Southerners might even support that. How could you be displaying guns? But the man in question has responded. If Fulanis are above the law or possibly universal citizens, he also has the right to defend his inalienable rights to life and to defend his posterity and his wife, children, who might be slaughtered, and him himself will not be spared. That is what is going on. A holy jihad, a second holy jihad is looming, and people are already being gripped by fear across the regions. Look at a Yoruba king kidnapped. You can imagine to such extent. In your own home country, in your own ancestral home, you are no longer safe. Even within your domain as king or obas, you are no longer safe. You have been already rounded up, encircled, and they could do whatever they want to do and replace the kings with their own monarchical system and or dominance system of exclusive conquest and control. This is unfortunate, but that is the true reality is today, and people denying this reality might be caught up unawares. That is just the case. Our strategy involves learning from the tactics of the past and merging it with the wisdom of the moment. Did you get it? There is no going back. There is no going back. Nigeria is our own. It was handed over to us by Allah. How then can we share what is ours? How then can we share what is ours? That your own indigenous community, you watching me, wherever you might be watching me, you might be in US, UK, and the rest of them, you have already been conquered according to this extremists and the rest of them. They say that that place you left and you Japan, Nigeria is no longer yours. It is even your own children, your own communities, your own relatives, acquaintances are meant to be mild, and of course their own ancestral homes being reoccupied, just as what is happening. The Plateau state governor is lamenting, Benue is lamenting, and how could people be displaced? The ancestral homes occupied. That is exactly what is going on, but some never realized it too early. And some, fear was instilled in them, instead of standing to defend their right to life, they were shouting on police and military and the rest to come and defend them. And the more they are being slaughtered, just as the late general, not late, the ex-general Dr. Felicity Juma said, if you're waiting for the military to defend you, you communities, you will all die. And that is the sad reality for most indigenous communities today. That is the sad reality they could no longer deny. But then it appears to have been very late or too late for them realizing that sad true reality. Rather unfortunate, honestly, but that is just the case. Now, looking at this again, we also find out very interesting developments. Now, he said, we are going to be learning the tactics of the past and merging it with the wisdom of the moment. There is no going back. Nigeria is ours and the rest of them. You see, how then shall we share it with you? Okay, we must never fight a defensive war. Now we must take the battle to the homes of the infidels. We must use everything that we have, we've got, whether you are a boy, a lady, a man, a woman, all Muslims and Fulani origins, of all Muslims of Fulani origins. Do you get it? So this is a battle of supremacy and exclusive conquest and dominance centered on ethnicity, driven by ethnicity. You see, that identity of the Fulani nationalists projecting their agenda to conquer and to destroy the entire existence of humanity. That is very unfortunate. Now, you say, whether whosoever you are, whether all Muslims of Fulani origins must take this as a duty. Now, we must sharpen our fighting weapons. Everything is a weapon. Your Okada, your knife, your hand, your trailers, you drive, okay, the tankers and fuel, food, and wow, and sell, everything is to be turned to weapon, to be weaponized against these indigenous people. Whatever you can do to exterminate, to annihilate, and to do whatever achieve this purpose, you are called to deploy such weaponry against the indigenous communities. And sadly, the people are watching helplessly why conspiracy to annihilate them is being perfected. Now, the house of the infidels that you guard, study very well and wait for our order. Both may guard, those security guards and the rest of them, you put them there, and they are there as spies, and the rest of them monitoring what is going on and waiting for an order to strike. You know what that means? And they said this except, of course, was coined out from 2019. Now you can know how far they have pushed on this agenda and how far they have been able to implement it. Today, it has escalated to the point that even indigenous communities are living in that reality, trapped in fears, both in South, across the entire regions of this country. Their headache is the terrorists, Fulani militias, and nationalists, and the rest of them push you. You see their senators, everybody supporting them and defending the indefensible. When it comes to arguments and propaganda, you see them selling through and saying that these people, in fact, more Muslims are being killed than Christians. Well, how do you justify that? Is there any right that warrants anyone to kill any group of people and get away with that? So why are they defending that more Muslims are being killed and the rest of them? Those Muslims being killed of what of what ethnic nationality? These are some things questions we must raise, and concerns we must throw up as these matters now. Because those Muslims being killed are ethnic nationalities that are not of Fulani extraction. Despite the fact they are Muslims, even the man, the Yoruba king that was killed, that was kidnapped, is a Muslim. Is a Muslim answering Alhaji somebody. Nobody is being spared. Whether you are Alhaji Boki or Danjuma or whatever, the agenda is unique. It doesn't matter. Nobody is respected on the basis of ethnicity and the rest of them. Forget about hiding under the cover of Islam. You are a target of annihilation. It's rather unfortunate, but these are realities today. So how could you kidnap Al-Haji, a Muslim, a professing Muslim for that matter, who has been to Haji or Hajj, and you kidnap him to pay ransom? So this is more sophisticated than what some persons envisage that is coming. It's a declaration of war that already has not been fully conquered. And they said, we are going to implement that in our own generations, and we are taking the war to the camps of the enemies. We are taking the war to their homes, to their communities. You know what that means? When you are being cycled and surrounded by the enemies, you see, you are going out in the forest, in the pathways. There are enemies, they can lay ambush and begin to take you down one after the other. That is the most deadliest, of course, war anyone could survive. When you're surrounded by your enemies, your megad, your security guard, those selling uh, fruits and the rest of them, they are weapons. They say whatever you are using or you are disposed to is a weapon to achieve this. Just wait and get an order from us. Just when the prelate of the Methodist Church Nigeria was kidnapped, about a few years ago, he revealed that these people said they are only waiting for signal. They are everywhere. And when they say they're everywhere, some people don't get that. You see, even Imo State is not safe. As one of the videos that went viral, that even Ohiaka, Amakohia, and those environs have been encircled, only waiting for the order to, of course, unleash mayhem. The people might be on their bed as they have sent out their missionaries to monitor, to spy the regions, the way in, the way out, of course, roots, the communities and the rest of them. You think they are mega, they are gate man, they present themselves as security guards, they are being employed, they live in a community, and they monitor the community, the in and out of those communities, and the weakest points of those communities, and how they could, in fact, give intel on how they could strategize and unleash such horrifying incidents. It will be happening simultaneously across the region. So even when you are in the bush, you can't run out of the bush, and you might be overrun and encircled even within the bush. And when you are coming out of your homes and to scurry for safety in the bushes, there are people already laying ambush, and they might take you down. I mean, it is a very disturbing moment and a very issue of concern. But sadly, some persons, especially the southeastern, as entire southern people, are not ready for this, honestly. They have succeeded in instilling fears in them and the rest of them. People could no longer travel without their heart beating or carrying their hearts in their hands and the rest of them. I mean, it is a horrifying development, and unfortunately, some persons are still living in that denial of the realities. Exploit the weaknesses of the infidels. Exploit the weaknesses. What are the weaknesses of the infidels? The southern people. What are the weaknesses? They are backwoomy, just as the Hausas live the backwoomy life, but it don't finally backwoomy. It don't finally matters now. It doesn't matter life. And they ignored the signs, the dangers. And today it is mattering for them. They are now realizing that indeed it matters. When they now realize suddenly they have no say, even they have no voice. They have lost their voice, their relevance. They only what is left for them is just the language. They have taken over the economic power. They have grabbed their land. They produce the governors and the senators and the rest of them, House of Representatives. They dictate, of course, whatever happens economically and politically. So what is left for the Hausa? They are just Otimpus and the rest of them. So that is the level they have succeeded in reducing these people. And you think you are wise, but you have been reduced to nothing. Unfortunately, it is too late. They are realizing this. And now, when everything is almost gone. Who will save them from this unfortunate destruction? Only God knows. But rather than learning from what happened to the Hausas communities and the rest of them today, the Southerners are still waiting for history to repeat, just as Mazin and Kanu have raised this concern more than a decade ago, that these are their plans and intentions. Today, some persons call for Mazin and Kanu head, and the rest of them, but today they are seeing the reality unfolding before them, and those who once lived in denial, unfortunately, are becoming victims of this. Those who thought it will not get to them, or possibly it is about religious dominance and they have an advantage should that happen. But today they are being taken down, being kidnapped and killed, even after ransoms are being paid. These are the true realities today. To exploit the weaknesses of the infidels, they are busy, lack discipline, and sleep like fools. Well, it's quite interesting. Love parties and dances, lack focus, mostly on those servants and unarmed. You can imagine that. The enemies already understood you better than you do understand yourself. And they are exploiting those weaknesses as a weapon against the Southerners. And what they say, that is it not true? But today, people are afraid. They could no longer to go to Owambe or travel a short distance without fear, without their heart panting and the rest of them. They have been recycled. And what can they do at this particular time? Unfortunately, some are resorting to fleeing to urban cities, thinking that that is safe. They have been cycled both the urban cities and every other thing. Look at the concerns alarm raised by the Kakamfo of the Yorubas warlord, in the person of Gani Adams. He's raised concerns that these people have already infiltrated, that invaded the Southwest. Look at the aftermath of that. About 70 persons were arrested and by the Omoteku and the rest of them. There are more to this, and you are just seeing an insignificant part of them. Those who are arrested, what of those who have trooped in by the thick of the night and been distributed across their cells and camps, waiting for time to strike? This war is looming. Unfortunately, most of the southern people and communities are not prepared. Sad to note that some communities in the Yoruba southwestern region have fled already. They have fled. They have fled their ancestral homes. What does that tell you? It's quite unfortunate. Kwara State is hot today. If Olodu and the rest of them, I mean, people have been slaughtered, taken to the slaughter at will. And look at the regions where the Al-Qaeda terrorists, of course, already start their first attack, signaling that they are almost at the climax of overrunning these communities and subduing them. It is very unfortunate. Not even children could be spared. Whatever happens, it's very unfortunate. Now, with your vantage position, you can take on a whole family of 10, conquer and kill them if need be. The battle must be fought in their homeland. The battles must be fought in their homeland. The middle belts must be totally crossed. What is the result today? They are few and divided. Do you get that? They are few and divided. They have already studied your weaknesses and how to weaken you the more and, of course, overrun you all. It is quite very interesting to note this. Now, never trust any of the East and South. Never trust any of the East or South, even in political arena. This is the reason why they can never trust. That's born to rule mentality is instead is driven by certain vested interests. Motive is not just ordinary. Never trust any East or Southern people, but the Southern peoples are enslaved to them. You see, they bow to them and because of cheap political gains. Against, they could even betray and sold out their own people just to remain relevant. It's so unfortunate, but these are realities unfolding before us. As you're following us, I want to know your own, of course, reactions via the comment section. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to like, share, turn on the notification button, subscribe to this channel so that you can get our videos once it's being uploaded. It's a matter of concern and a matter of serious concern as everyone who cares to know, but that is the realities unfolding. Not even their filthy Muslims, not even their filthy Muslims. Whether you're a Muslim in the South, you are being considered as a filthy Muslim. You are not original Muslim. Well, I leave that with my Southwestern brothers to give more, to elucidate more on this subject. Why were they considered filthy Muslims? Just for the very fact, for the very reason of their ethnicity. What a word. Now, who do everything Allah rejects? Who do everything Allah rejects? Get yourself prepared. The battle is near. Get yourself prepared. The battle is near. But how prepared? Unfortunately, are the Southerners. This is about survival. We are not preaching war. We are not advocates of war, but we are analyzing issues of importance and concern that borders on the existence and the security of the people to understand why are things happening the way they are going. Why are they going the way they are going? Why does it appear that the entire Nigerian populace are helpless over this renewed onslaught, killings, and consistent and gradual annihilations of the indigenous communities? Why is all this thing happening? Why are the perpetrators not being brought to justice? Just as Gumi said, that he is more concerned about the attackers than the victims. How which defies every rationale and principle of justice, fairness, and equity. You are more concerned about the attackers than the victims. Wow. Rather than protecting the victims, you are even more supporting, defending the attackers, that they have the right, of course, to kidnap. They are only doing that to collect money and the rest of them. You can imagine justifying the illegality, the wickedness against the human race within the Nigerian state. And unfortunately, they could speak, do whatever they want and get away with that. It is 10 at this. It is very unfortunate. And that is just the realities today. The Christian communities are not having issues. They are being taken down in their churches, in their place of worship or processions and the rest of them. Look at what is going on. You think that is a joke and they don't mean business? That is the current realities. And I want you to express your own opinion via the comment section on what you think is the way forward as we continue to bring your way interactive and interesting subjects of public interest.